Hi folks, I hope that you guys are doing pretty well. So today is Saturday, the 28th of October 2023, and this video is my 29th World First Biblical Deciphering. Then in this video, I want to talk about Daniel, specifically Daniel chapter 12, okay? So I'm going to be going verse by verse, covering all the 13 verses here in Daniel chapter 12. And I'm going to be teaching you what they mean. Some of them are pretty straightforward, but some of them are actually very difficult to decipher because there's actually not enough information. But the Bible do gives us some types in different verses and in different prophecies, okay? All right, so let's start with verse 1, shall we? And it says here, and at that time shall Michael stand up, okay? So in other words, at that time, meaning the tribulation period, shall Michael stand up. Now, Michael, of course, is the archangel of Israel, okay? So he looks after the principality of Israel. And when the tribulation begins, he's going to stand up and he's going to be watching all over the tribulation period to see what happens in Israel, if you like, okay? So at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stands for the children of thy people, okay? So children of thy people, of course, meaning the children of Israel. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. Okay, so we know there is a book of life. Now, thy people shall be delivered. Okay, so there's quite a little bit to unpack here. Now, I'm going to be showing you my notes, okay? As I'm deciphering this for you, okay? Because of my notes for all the verses, okay? Now, what have I got written down for Daniel 12:1? Well, Michael, of course, he's the archangel of Israel. He looks after the principality in Israel, or the spiritual principality, if you like. And he's going to stand up to watch over Israel during Jacob's trouble. Now, we know that Israel has signed a covenant, with the Antichrist, as per, Isaiah 28:15. We also got a prophecy here in Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7, the time of Jacob's trouble. And I'm going to be reading for you now Isaiah 28:15 and verse 16, and also Ephesians chapter 2, verse 20. And how it says that Jesus is going to come back to rule during the millennial kingdom, and how it ties into Ephesians 2:20. Okay, so let us go quickly to Isaiah 28:15. Okay, so we got Isaiah chapter 28, verse 15. Because you have said we have made a covenant with death and with hell, we are in agreement. Okay, so Israel is going to make a covenant with the Antichrist, okay? When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood we have hid ourselves, okay? So Israel makes a false covenant, okay, with the Antichrist. On verse 16 says, therefore thus said the Lord God, behold, I lay in Zion a foundation stone. The foundation stone is, of course, Jesus, and I'll prove it to you in a minute. A dry stone, a precious cornerstone. We know that the cornerstone is Jesus. If you read Ephesians chapter 2, verse 20, and a sure foundation, he that believeth shall not make haste. So in other words, those that believe on Jesus, they don't have to run away because, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, okay? So let's just go quickly to Ephesians 2:20. So Ephesians 2:20 says, and they built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone, okay? So let me go back here to Daniel just quickly. Bear with me, folks. I've got page markers. Now, what else can I say about verse 1? Okay, so thy people, okay, in here, thy people, of course, that refers to the Jewish people, okay? So thy people means the Jews only in context of Israel in Jacob's trouble. Of course, Jacob's trouble, you can find that in Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. Okay. And then it also talks in the end here in the book of life. Okay. So Jesus knows from the foundation of the world, or from the very beginning to the end of time, who will be in his book of life. Okay. Because Jesus knows past, present, and future. Okay. Now, regarding the book of life, you can find prophecies here in Philippians chapter 4, verse 3, also in Exodus chapter 32, verses 32 to 33, also in the book of Psalms, and also elsewhere in the Bible. Now, we know that according to Zechariah, chapter 13, verses 8 and 9, 2/3 will be cut off. In other words, 2/3 of the Jewish people will die during the tribulation period. Okay, these are 2/3 are from those that are living in Israel. Okay, those that are living in Israel, and they will live through the tribulation period. It doesn't cover those that are living outside of Israel. Okay. Now, another thing that I want to say about this chapter 12, verse 1 is that this also applies to the Jewish people living outside of Israel, because collectively they are Jews and a part of Jacob's trouble. All Jews worldwide will be all the Jews worldwide will be part of this judgment, because collectively and as a whole are all tribulation Jews. Okay, now, what do I mean by this is that, where it says here, and at that time thy people shall be delivered. Okay, so we know that according to Zechariah, only through whom make it through those living in Israel. Okay, everyone that shall be found written in the book. Now, I guess there's two things that we can say in here. In that, according to Zechariah, 2/3 will be cut off. In other words, 2/3 will die of the Jewish people that are living in Israel only during the tribulation period. But we also have Jewish people living worldwide. Okay, so of course some of them will live, and some of them will die. Because it says here in verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Now, this is quite an interesting verse here. Now, I want to show you some grammar here. Of course, Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, tells us what happens initially, the beginning of Jacob's trouble, okay? And then look how verse 2 and verse 3 starts, okay? It starts with and, okay? So this means that this word and here is following the context from chapter 12, verse 1, okay? So this is what happens in verse 1, and this is what's going to happen in verse 2, and this is what's going to happen in verse 3. In other words, it's following context, okay? Now, it says here, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. So it's talking here of a future judgment, okay? Because it's alluding here, it's saying some to everlasting life and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Now, because these verses, because it says here and here, it's all related to Jacob's trouble, okay? It means that when 2/3 of those Jewish people that are living in Israel are cut off, those that die and those that are living overseas as well, because they are part of this, collectively, they are part of Jacob's trouble, if you like. They are tribulation Jews. Then those that die will sleep in the dust, okay? It's not saying that they are going to go to heaven or that they are going to go to hell, but when the tribulation Jews die, those that die, they will just sleep in the dust, okay, of the earth. But they shall awake one day. Now, where is the only moment in the Bible that there's going to be one big judgment? That's at the end of the millennial kingdom. according to the book of Revelation, it's a great white throne of judgment, okay? That's when Jews and Gentiles are going to be judged. So the Jewish people that are in Israel during the tribulation period and those that are living overseas, if they die, they're not going to go to either heaven or hell, because it doesn't say that here. They're just going to, they're going to lie dead until, the 1,000 years are over, if you like, until that great white throne of judgment. And when that judgment happens, they are going to be judged by God. If they were righteous, they will live. If not, it's a lake of fire and brimstone. That's what the Bible teaches, Okay, now, so what do I have to say here in my notes regarding Daniel 12:2? Now, because the context here is referring to the tribulation period only, as it's talking about or referring only to tribulation Jews, following the context from 12.1, and many of them that sleep on the dust, these are they that are cut off, the 2/3, according to Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8 and 9, okay? And also the tribulation Jews living overseas, they will rise to judgment at the end of the millennial kingdom. Now, let me turn over. Why is this? Why is this? Good question. They're going to face God's great white throne of judgment, okay, at the end of the millennial kingdom, because, okay, this is the only judgment. This is the only judgment available in the Bible, according to Revelation 20, verse 11 and 12, okay? So those that sleep in the dust, okay, they will rise to this great white throne of judgment, okay? Now, importantly, what are the reasons that Jews die in the tribulation period? Okay. Now, those that personally challenge Moses and Elijah, okay, when Elijah and Moses woke up at the beginning of the tribulation period, they are going to be prophesying, okay? See Revelation 11, verse 5. Now, don't forget that fire proceeds out of the mouth of both Moses and Elijah if they are challenged, especially with their lives, And of course, during the tribulation period, it's going to be pestilence, famine, earthquakes, according to Matthew chapter 24, verse 7, okay? As well, there's going to be God's tribulation judgments. As per the book of Revelation, you got the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls, plus the 3 woes. Now, we're going to have World War III, but I don't think this is going to apply to Israel, because Israel needs to be in peace so that Moses and Elijah can prophesy to them. Okay? Now, another huge reason why many Jews will die during the tribulation period is because of the abomination of desolation. Okay? Jews will have to flee to get away from the Antichrist. Okay? See Matthew chapter 24, verse 15, and Daniel chapter 12, verse 11. Okay? So I guess we covered the first 2 verses. Now we go to verse 3. Okay? And it says here, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Now, they that be wise shall shine. In other words, those Jewish people that are wise during the tribulation and accept the prophesying of Moses and Elijah, they will go to heaven, because the shine or the brightness of the firmament, okay, is actually heaven, okay? So if you actually go to, I got my notes here, Genesis 1:8. Genesis 1:8 says that the firmament is actually heaven, okay? So my notes here then regarding Daniel 12.3, and of course follows the context from Daniel 12.1, Daniel 12.2, and Daniel 12.3. They that be wise, okay, those that accept, the teachings of Moses and Elijah, that believe on Jesus, will go to heaven, but those that don't, then, it doesn't look very hopeful to them. Now, Be wise then and believe on Jesus. Believe on Moses and Elijah's prophesying. Okay. So now I want to move on to Daniel 12.4. Okay, but it says here, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Okay, so basically, Jesus is telling Daniel, hey, seal this book until the end times begins. So the end times began when Israel became a nation in 1948. And also knowledge shall be increased. Now, I did a video yesterday on my 20th World First Biblical Deciphering, basically telling you that the computer age or the computer information age began on the 12th of June 1948, when the first computer program in history runs on a digital computer. So what notes have I got for Daniel 12:4? Okay, now the book of Daniel was opened spiritually on the 14th of May in 1948, when Israel became a nation, and that the computer information age began on the 12th of June 1948, when the first computer program in history runs on a digital computer. Okay, so we can tick that off, and now we go into Daniel 12 verse 5. Okay, so what does the Bible say? Then it says here, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two. Okay, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. Now I put here Moses and Elijah, the two olive trees, as a type, okay, because these two are the two. Who are those other two? It can, as a type, I believe it's Moses and Elijah, but let me give you my notes, okay, now. Well, possibly I believe that the other two probably refers to Moses, who stands on the right according to prophecies, and Elijah on the left. These are a type, okay, if you like, of the two olive trees that stand next to Jesus, okay. See Zechariah chapter 4 verse 11. See Matthew chapter 17 verse 2 and 3 during Jesus' transfiguration on Mount Tabor, and also read Revelation 11 verse 4. So you got the river here, Jesus standing in the middle, and you got Moses on the right and Elijah on the left, okay. So we can tick verse 5 off. Now we go into verse 6, okay. And one said to them, so following the context, there's two of them, okay. I just told you that we got Moses on the right and Elijah on the left, according to a type that I'm teaching you, okay. And one said to the other, clothed in linen. Now, this one clothed in linen is definitely Jesus. And it says here, and one said, as a type, I believe that this is also Moses. And I'll show you in a minute in my notes, which was upon the waters of the river. How long shall it be to the end of this wonder? So in other words, what I'm saying here is that Moses, in other words, and one said, I believe it is Moses, told Jesus, who was dressed in linen, or white linen, demonstrating purity and holiness, which was upon the waters of the river. So Jesus was standing in the middle, if you like, Jesus was standing in the waters. Think of it as a type of, remember when Jesus walked on water and Peter saw him, so how long shall it be to the end of this wonder? So in other words, when will the tribulation period end? Okay. So my notes for verse 6, where it says, and one said, okay, the man in linen is definitely Jesus. And one said, I believe that is Moses as a type, because Moses always spoke with authority with God from the beginning. See Exodus chapter 33 verse 11 and Exodus chapter 33 verse 17. Moses always spoke boldly with God. Man in linen is Jesus, because he's dressed in white, represents purity and holiness, and only Jesus has the authority, because notice how he's asking Jesus, okay. Only Jesus has the authority to answer such a question, with the knowledge of the future, okay? And where it says till the end of wonders, in other words, the end of the tribulation period, in other words, the end of the trip, okay, or Chaiko's trouble, okay? So that is that for 6, okay? So we can tick verse 6 off. And then verse 7 begins by saying, and I heard a man clothed in linen, that's Jesus, which was upon the waters of the river. So I just gave you the description here. You know, this is the river where Jesus was standing. And here you have Moses and Elijah, okay? As a type, if you like. So I heard a man clothed in linen, which is Jesus, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto the heaven. So in other words, what he's saying here is that Jesus held up or lifted up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, as if praying, if you like, praying unto God the Father, and swore by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time. A time in Hebrew means 1 year, times 2 years and a half, in other words, 3.5 years. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished, okay? So one of the interesting bits here is, what does when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people mean? So with that deciphering, I came to the conclusion that scatter the power of the people, perhaps it means it's just the signs coming with Jesus for Armageddon, okay? Jesus will position us signs strategically to win, okay? So the scattering the power of the holy people, I believe that the holy people is us. We are being scattered strategically when we come down for the battle of Armageddon. By Jesus, we are positioned strategically to win this battle, if you like. Now, I just wanted to tell you a little bit more. So the man, just to recap, the man clothed in linen is Jesus upon the waters, as a type when Jesus walked on water, as in Matthew chapter 14, verse 25, okay? And I just told you that a time in Hebrew means 1 year, times means 2 years, okay, or plural, half means half a year, or 3.5 Hebrew years, okay? So we can tick verse 7. Now we're going to 8, okay? So, and I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? Okay, so basically this is straightforward. So Daniel heard Jesus, okay, and he didn't understand, okay, and then he said to Jesus, because the only one who can have this title of Lord is Jesus. He said, oh Jesus, what shall be the end of this? When does the tribulation will finish? Okay. So my notes on verse 8. Then I said, oh my Lord, this is Jesus. Jesus is the only Lord. He's the only one that can be called Lord. Okay. So we can tick that off. Now we go into 9. And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the end, till the time of the end. So basically, Jesus is telling Daniel, politely, Daniel, go away, seal the book until the end times begin, meaning when Israel, the end times began when Israel became a nation in 1948, okay? So what notes do I have for you regarding Daniel chapter 9? Okay, Daniel, go away, I just told you that. In the beginning of the end times, so when is the beginning of the end times? When Israel becomes a nation in 1948. The book of Daniel will be spiritually open in 1948, okay? And it will be understood by all. The information computer age will begin, okay, or began in 1948, okay? And it will increase knowledge, okay, due to the computer information age, okay? So We can tick then Daniel 9 off, and now we're going to go straight to Daniel 10, okay? And it says, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. Okay, so basically what he's saying is that many of the Jewish people going through the tribulation period will go to heaven because they will be purified, okay? They will believe on Jesus, especially those that want to believe on Moses and Elijah prophesying to them, okay? And my white, we know that we saints get white robes, we're going to be getting white robes when we go out at the rapture, okay? So these Jewish people that believe on Jesus will be purified and made white, okay? But nonetheless, they're going to be tried during the tribulation period, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand now. So let me just show you the notes then that I got for verse 10, okay? Many Jews, okay, 1/3, according to Zechariah chapter 13, verses 8 and 9, will be purified, okay, or believe on Jesus. They are going to believe on the work of Moses and Elijah, but the wicked shall do wicked and not understand. In other words, not believing on the testimony of Moses and Elijah. Many will die by the fire and plagues that they are going to dish out. See Revelation chapter 11 verse 5, and Revelation 11 verse 10. Moses and Elijah will torment the world. So, and then of course we can tick that off, verse 10, and now we're going to be heading towards verse 11. Okay, and so verse 11 says, and from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. So basically what he's saying is that when they stop doing the daily sacrifices in the third temple, in other words, when the abomination of desolation begins, okay, it's going to take 1,290 days from the beginning of the abomination of desolation until it finishes, okay? So it's going to take 1,290 days. Now, let me take you to the notes that I have here on verse 11. So from the time that the daily sacrifices be taken away, in other words, no more sacrifices in the third temple or the abomination of desolation, from the beginning to the end, it's going to take 1,290 days, okay? So you must add 30 days to the 1260 days because, the Bible tells us that each half of the tribulation period is going to be 1,260 days, okay? But Daniel verse 11 is telling us that the second part of the tribulation, when the abomination of desolation begins until it ends, is going to be an extra 30 days. So it's going to be all up 1,290 days, okay? So we can tick that off. And now we go to Daniel 12, okay? So Daniel 12, it says here, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days, okay? So what notes have I got here for Daniel verse 12, okay? Blessed is he that waits until the 1,335 days, okay? So what we have to do is do a bit of a subtraction. Do 1,335 days, okay? This 1,335 days is the beginning of the millennial kingdom, okay? Then we minus 1,290 days, okay? Because that ends the abomination of desolation, okay? So this number here begins the millennial kingdom. This number ends the abomination. and we get 45 dice. Now, why do we need to make a subtraction here? Okay, so we got the beginning of the millennial kingdom minus the end of the abomination of desolation. Now, we need these 45 dice for the millennial kingdom to start for a number of reasons. For one, to allow for the battle of Armageddon. Okay, then for the judgment of the sheep and the goats, according to Joel chapter 3, verse 12. Also for cleansing of the third temple, and for the coronation of Jesus as the King of Israel. Okay, so we can take Daniel 12 off, and then we got the last one, verse 13. Okay, but it says, but go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the dice. Okay, so basically, just to finish up what verse 13 is saying, is basically, but go you, Daniel, to your end, if you like. Just do what you have to do until your end comes. Okay, until he finishes with his end of life, if you like, and he's prophesying as well. And then you shall rest in heaven. In other words, after Daniel's death, then he's gonna end up going to heaven, of course, where he is right now. And where it says, and stand in thy lot at the end of the dice. This basically means that Daniel will be back with Jesus and ask the saints to rule with Jesus for the millennial kingdom. According to Revelation 20, verses 4 to 7. Okay, so Daniel 13 is very basic, straightforward. And so we can tick that off. And we can tick off then the end of this biblical deciphering on Daniel chapter 12. So, it's quite interesting, folks. I guess, there are very difficult verses here, especially in verse 2 and 3. We really had to do a lot of heavy thinking, heavy lifting, and we have to look for types in the Bible, So, all right, folks, thanks for watching. Hope that this has been a blessing. I hope that you learned something. This is the best of my ability on deciphering Daniel chapter 12. Considering that in many verses there isn't enough information, then I was able to use types in the Bible, if you like. So so that's it, folks. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.